This is the power of it. Don't you settle for less. If you just give your best, then you will have success.
Hey, first grade, it's Mr. McNeil here. I'm hoping that everybody's staying safe as well as healthy. I miss all of you guys. Today's lesson, we're going to focus on bar graphs. I know that a lot of you guys might have had practice with bar graphs before, but our lesson today is going to help us brush up with our understanding of bar graphs. Okay, so I ask that you guys get comfortable, get relaxed, not too relaxed. But I ask you guys to be engaged with mom or dad, whoever's helping you with your work. We're going through the lesson with you now. Take a couple notes if you need to, just to help you out. Remember this for later, and let's go. Our objective of today's lesson is I can organize information into graphs, with our essential question being, how can you read a bar graph to find the number that a bar graph shows? Hey scholars, let's be mindful of our norms today while the lesson is going on. So our first one will be, I can participate during the lesson. Our second one, I can use my listening ears during the lesson. Our third one, I can use my thinking cap to answer and ask questions. And our fourth one, let's not forget, I can have fun during the lesson. So let's see, what exactly is a bar graph? A bar graph is a chart that uses bars to show comparisons between categories of data. You know, a lot of you guys probably remember this because we probably had a lesson on it before, but let's go over and test ourselves and see what we might remember and what we might need to brush up on. I provided a video down below. That's a bar graph brain pop. I know everybody likes brain pop, so go ahead and click on that link, watch the video, and let's see what it talks about when it talks about bar graphs. Let's see if you can remember one thing from the video, and let me know what you think about the video. Hey class, look at this example. This is an example of a bar graph where you see data that was collected to see what people's favorite sports were. The sports that were used in this chart were soccer, softball, basketball, and other. You can see on the left side of the graph, it shows the number of students. When you look at the bottom of the graph, you can see the answers for each sport. So you see by each sport had a different color. So by looking at each one, you're able to see how many people liked each sport. So we see in this example that about 9 people liked soccer, 4 people liked softball, 6 people liked basketball, and about 3 people liked other sports. Hey scholars, we're going to take a look at our first task of the day, reading bar graphs. I want you to take a look at the chart here on the right that I have on this slide. Can you tell me what the name of this chart is? If you answered favorite fruit, then your answer was correct. My second question I have for you is, can you tell me which fruits are being used in this chart? If you said apples, oranges, and bananas, your answer was correct. For my third question, I need you guys to really think hard about this answer for this question. How many people liked apples, oranges, and bananas in this chart? Let's think for a second. So if you said 3 people liked apples, your answer was correct. If you said 2 people liked oranges and 4 people liked bananas, that, altogether, 3 plus 2 plus 4 equals 9. So altogether, we had 9 people that participated in this chart. Okay, class, for our second task of the day, which is called making bar graphs, for this next task, you will need a piece of lined paper or blank paper. You'll need to read the following math problem and draw a bar graph showing the data that you pull from the math problem. Okay. Let's pretend that today I asked you all what your favorite hobby was. I asked about the following activities: reading, dancing, and running. Each scholar was only able to vote once. The final outcome was as such. 5 students chose reading, 6 students chose dancing, and 4 students chose running. So how about we get together and let's draw a bar graph that shows the data in this math problem. Here you'll see the correct way to read a bar graph as well as write a bar graph when it comes to shading in the correct amount of data that you might have when it comes to looking at charts, okay? So I want you guys to pay close attention to my video as I go over each step thoroughly and slowly so everybody understands it, okay? So let's go.
Okay, we're going to stay focused right here on our second task of the day, which is focusing on making our bar graph. Okay, so as previously stated in my previous slide, which is this one right here that you're looking at, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward in making our bar graph together. Okay, so what Mr. McNeil has already done is I've already drawn out my bar graph. Okay, so we see that it focuses on my favorite hobby, and the number of scholars is on the left hand side, which is written in green, and written in blue is the types of hobbies. So if we look at our data that we have from our problem, I'll read it over one more time. Let's pretend that today I asked you all what your favorite hobby was. I asked about the following activities: reading, dancing, and running. Each scholar was able to vote only once. The final outcome was as such: 5 students chose reading, 6 students chose dancing, and 4 students chose running. Okay, so if we're looking at our chart that I have right here, we're going to look at reading right here, which is our first hobby, our favorite hobby. So we look back into our information that we have from this slide right here, and we see that 5 students chose reading. So what I would do is I would go back right here to my paper. I would do a line, draw it right up to 5, right over, bring it down, boom. There we got 5. Okay, then we're gonna move to our next activity, which is dancing. So we look back at what we have right here on our slide. Okay, we see we have 6 students chose dancing. Okay, so what I do is I go back to my paper, and then I go all the way up to 6, over and down. Okay, then our third and final hobby is running. We look back at our information that we have in our slide, which is, it says 4 students chose running. So we go back to our paper and we graph in 4. So we go up to 4, over and down. Okay. And then Mr. McNeil has his markers right here on the side of me. Right here, what you can do is you can color in with crayons, colored pencils, or markers. I don't really suggest that you color in with a pencil, because you're going to need the pencils to get all your work done. So I'm going to just do a quick coloring, just so you guys can see what we're doing. Okay, and I will do the same thing for all the rest of the bars. Okay, so I will color in all of them. You guys shouldn't be coloring like mine. I'm doing this the quick way. You guys are going to be doing it the neat way. Okay, we're going to take our time coloring this in. Okay, I just did it quick just to show you guys a good example of how we're going to be looking at bar graphs for this lesson. Okay,
So now we come to the point of the lesson where we're going to think back and see whether our objective was met for our lesson today. So my first question that I have for you, class, is: are you able to now understand how to read a bar graph based on today's lesson? And my second question is: are you able to draw your own bar graph after reading just a small story as I provided in a couple slides back? If you were able to answer yes to both of these questions, then you now understand how bar graphs work. And you're also able to draw a bar graph now on your own. Go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, class, so our third task of the day is our exit ticket. Okay, for this, in this situation, you're going to have to go and choose 3 items that you want to select and make your own chart. For your own chart, I'm going to ask that you use a minimum of 3 items, and you're going to have to draw a bar graph using these 3 items, okay? So I gave you a couple examples earlier in my lesson, and maybe you guys can find a couple online to assist you, but don't copy the ones that you see online. I'm asking that everybody kind of draw their own, be as creative as they can. You guys can take a picture of it and then send it to me or Ms. Kaplan so that we can see it, okay? But that's our extra ticket for today. You have to draw your own chart, okay, with a minimum of 3 items, okay?